Hey guys, welcome to Still Going Strong. This is my wife Kaci, and I'm Robert, and we are just so thankful that you guys decided to come and check out our little spot of messiness, our little spot of not getting it right, and our little spot of just sharing what the Lord has done in our life so that maybe we can help you in your marriage. So I believe that everything that we've gone through has been for a purpose, and I'm so thankful that you're doing okay. So for you guys that don't know, um, there's probably, I mean, it's not going to really matter much to you because it's going to be 1 week one and 1 week another. But for the past, couple weeks that my wife's been hospitalized and going through,
I'm only hospitalized for a week.
well, I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's also been life going on
Yeah.
too. So, but I'm so thankful that you're here. Um, it was scary there. It was scary there for a second, but I'm glad that the Lord has worked everything out. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Very
thankful
true.
for you. All right, so I'm sure you've got something for us, right?
Whenever you were deepest in your sin before God got a hold of both of us and everything,
Yep.
is there anything that I could have done to change that?
Is there anything you could have done with me in the deepest, darkest part of my sin that would have changed that? I'm going to probably say no. Just for the simple fact that honestly, sweetheart, I don't think that you had anything really to do with that. I feel like that was something that I brought my lustfulness, my sexual deviancy, if you will, came before you and I got together. And I think that you have been, if anything, very nurturing, very comforting to me. You've always been my best friend, my partner, even though I treated you like dog crap a lot of times. But for the most part, I don't see that. I don't see how anything you could have said, anything that you could have done would have brought me to the point where I would have it, to the end of myself because it took me it took me getting really low because let's have our let's okay so this wasn't the first time that you had to confront me about issues.
Yeah.
Let's just call them issues.
Yes.
This wasn't the first time, okay? That didn't change me.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, the fact of the matter is I had to get to a point where I thought everything was gone, where I thought I had lost everything. I had lost 100% of me. And it wasn't just you that I thought I lost, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I always thought that I was going to be something. I always thought that I was going to be bigger than what I was going to be. I always had this thought that I was made for more. Of course, I believe that that is true, but not in the way that I saw it.
Absolutely.
Um, I felt like I could be bigger. Me, myself, and I could be bigger. And God not only had to, or I didn't have to come. I had to come to the point where I sat in that jail cell and I thought, okay, it's not just, oh my gosh, I've lost my wife. I'm done. It's like, wait a second. I'm going to have this label with me forever. I'm going to be nothing but a horrible monster. I'm going to be scum of the earth. I have nothing left. I have zero left. So, yeah, I know that's a long-winded answer to
No,
your
you're good.
question, but no, I think you did as a secular non-Christian wife. I think you did the best that you could. You were supportive when you need to. Sometimes maybe you accepted my junk a little quicker than what you maybe should have, but I don't even think that would have changed me.
Yeah. So my idea basically was kind of more along, definitely along that of how to approach like the hard questions and the hard topics in your marriage. And so that's a great point, because Christian or not, whenever you have a spouse that especially is dealing honestly with any kind of sin, but with sexual sin in any way, you start definitely doubting yourself and
Yeah.
thinking that you did something wrong to cause it, and that there's something different that you could have done to prevent it. And so that's kind of where I want to go on that. So, you did great. You answered my question exactly how I figured you would, Kevin.
Well, I didn't. I figured that's where you wanted to go, but
Yeah.
at the same time, and I can understand that. I mean, whenever somebody makes a mistake, and that's wife, husband, friend, whatever.
Yeah.
When your kids make a mistake, the first thing you think of is, okay, what could I have done to make that better? What could I have done to prevent that?
Uh-huh.
And I think I kind of know where you're going with that, is that at the end of it, we can't really, we can't. There's nothing we've all got to, as our pastor said one time, we've all got to walk through the check gate at the airport one by one. We can't go through there hand in hand. We have to walk through it one by one.
Absolutely. And, I do think that there are some slightly different things that we can do as Christians. I mean, there's never a good way to approach, like, for instance, if you find out that your spouse is sinning in a certain way, or, if you find out that they're gambling, or you find out that they're cheating on you, or any of those things that you find out about, there's never an easy way to approach that. But the one good thing that we do have is, as Christians, our first thing, obviously, before we even consider going to the other one, is to cover it with prayer.
Yep.
And so I think this is where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean that makes so much sense, because you're right. The first thing that should happen is that we should cover it. We should cover it in prayer. Say, okay, I see this is going on, because I know I'm bad about it. I take, and BC me was even worse about it, taking that shotgun approach of, okay, I just need to basically rip the Band-Aid off. I need to bring this out. I need to bring this up, because we've got to deal with it right here, right now. If it comes out into a fight, it comes out into a fight. It doesn't matter. She needs to know how I feel. She needs to know right then, right there, what's going on.
Yeah, but that never works out well.
No. Because you might as well throw a stick of dynamite in the room and take cover, because stuff's about to hit the fan.
So for that one,
Uh-oh.
I gotta go.
So you started somewhere, and now I've said you.
Now you've made me go somewhere else.
That's fine.
So yeah, you're completely right. So, I was actually thinking Proverbs. So
Okay.
Proverbs 15, 1 and 2 specifically says, "A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge appealing, but the mouth of the fool belches out foolishness." And that's completely true, because whenever someone is heated, if you meet them with compassion and love, they are a lot more willing to kind of calm it down a little bit. But whenever you come at them with harsh words, whenever tempers are already flared, I mean, we can kind of admit that with us. I mean, that's really easy to see.
Yeah.
A lot of times with us. If one of us gets very agitated at the other one, and the other one can kind of keep their cool and be like, "Hey."
For so long. Only for so long. Because at some point, it's like we try to keep stoking the fire, and all of a sudden, it's like what the enemy does to us, and keep pushing that button.
Yeah, absolutely.
And expecting that it's just going to continue to operate until it doesn't operate no more.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that is true. We're both working on it, for sure.
Yes.
But, there are times that, I'll use myself for an example. I know that whenever I get irritated, there are times that you can talk to me in a calm manner, and it kind of gets me to cool my jets, and I can kind of think about it rationally. And then there are times that it just irritates me that you're being calm because that just irritates me more. And then if I keep going, you can only be calm for so long, and then you're going to be right there with me.
But my calmness lasts a whole lot less than your calmness. I can
I
tolerate
was trying to be nice and talk about myself.
Oh yeah,
here.
well, and the thing is I can look at that too, and I do the same thing. I don't know if I've ever gotten irritated at the fact that you're remaining calm. I mean, maybe if I think it's like an important situation and we're having an important discussion, kind of like what we was talking about this morning, where it was like you stayed calm, and I'm thinking, how can she stay calm like this? This is important. This is something that really needs to be hashed out. And you were sitting there calm, cool, and collected. I'm like, this needs to be this is more important than I think you realize. But I mean, regardless, in the end of that, I understand. We work that out. But yeah, it's you can only keep that calm and cool for so long.
Yeah. But it will, most of the time, help to deflect it. Whenever you come back in a calm, cool manner, it helps to deflect it and kind of bring it down a little bit. Because your first instinct whenever you're upset about something is to get defensive.
Yep.
And so if somebody is coming at you and attacking you, then it's just going to make everything worse, and it's going to heighten everything more.
Not to be scientific about it, but I believe that kind of feeds into the fight or flight thing.
Yes.
You either want to leave the situation or you want to fight the situation.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that we're animals. I believe that we were created from Adam and Eve, that we've descended from Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve descended from the dust of the earth. Well, Eve descended from Adam. Adam descended from the dust of the earth. But I believe that is an instinct. I believe that there is such a thing as the fight or flight instinct.
Yeah, there is.
That's
a neurological pathway.
Yeah, it's a neurological pathway. So you can do one of two things. I mean, you think about it.
It's actually three.
Even though we didn't descend.
There's actually three.
There's fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah, shut down. Yeah. Oh, I've done that before too. I've done all three of those: fight, flight, and shut down. But even though that I don't think we came from animals, I still think that that is probably an instinct we've probably gotten from our ancestors, especially dealing with wild animals and things like that. We can either fight it, we can flight it, or like you said, we can freeze. And so it's you see that. I see that also often with me.
So where I was going before that was in James. So James 1:5. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. So, I talked about that, how important it is to approach God with it before you approach your spouse.
Yeah.
Because he will, I'm horrible at this. Honestly, I am, but I'm trying to get better about it. But whenever you're upset about something, and I just don't know how to help you, and I should do it whether I know how to help you or not, I've gotten to the point where I try to just stop and pray and ask God what I can do. What can I say? What can I do to help him in the situation? Sometimes it's God, please help me keep my mouth shut, kind of thing. But
I wish I could pray, Lord, help me keep my mouth shut, because that.
Oh, I have to. I have to. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I understand that.
But there are also times that I don't know how to help him. I know you do. Please help him. And please help me to help him. And he does. And every time I pray that, and it's just what's so stupid about it. If I know he's going to be faithful, why not start there first?
Yeah.
But he always is. He's always faithful whenever I take that time and do that, to give me the information that I need to come back to help you through it. And every time I see it afterwards, I'm like, why didn't I do that sooner? And get through the stupid brain. But
I think it's just, again, it's that, because when we think about the three that we said fight, we said flight, and we say freeze. Mm-hmm. None of those things are thought actions. Those are involuntary reactions.
Yes.
Okay? You are being reactive and not proactive. Proactive is seeking the Lord.
Absolutely.
Whenever something goes down. I wish and I know that there are people out there that are proactive people that when anything goes down, the first thing they do is they take 5 seconds to breathe and pray about it. I pray to the Lord every day that He would give me that gift, but it has not showed up yet. So, but if you're not proactive, like I've learned in my jobs, if you're not proactive, you're reactive,
Uh-huh.
and those reactives becomes those three things. And yeah, you're right. When we're proactive about stuff and we go and we seek the Lord first, most of the time if we've let God's word be buried in our hearts, then we're able to come back and give what does he say, a gentle answer.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to give that gentle answer.
Mm-hmm. So on that, so we were talking obviously about how to approach those things with your spouse. Is there anything? Obviously, prayer is your first step. What do you think? Kind of your next step or next process should be?
Oh man, you better not ask me that, because I know where my brain goes. And I think this next step, what you're talking about, the next step is probably going to be different for everybody. For me, I have the Rolodex of situations as to what will I say and what will it cause.
Yeah.
That's normally my first one, because that's sometimes, well, actually no, my first one's just a lash out. It's the, what do they call them? Shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
That's normally my go-to, but whenever I'm trying to approach a situation, when there's something that I feel needs to be talked about, sometimes I'll spend 15 half hour whatever, and I in my mind will have this conversation over and over and over again and think about what possible ways are you going to react to X information. And at some point I say, okay, no matter which way I start this, I'm probably still not going to get it right. So, how can I approach this in the way that doesn't seem demoralizing? Because if you start off, I've learned this through marriage things, that if you start off in the accusatory, if that's the word,
Yep.
is that the word?
Yeah.
Accusatory?
Yeah.
Accusatory? I don't know. One of those words. If you start out in that way, then all of a sudden that's not what they're not going to hear anything. You've already closed off their ears. They're done.
Yep.
You've got to come at it in a loving way, in a respectful way, yet at the same time, look, this is what's going on. This is what needs to be addressed, and what we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you start, I know that you've responded well in that way, and I'm a shotgun of emotions, so depending on what is going through my mind, I could either respond very well to loving, or it can be accusatory, or the enemy puts in my mind, hey, she's accusing you of something, and my mind will start shutting down, because like that Rolodex of how is this going to play out,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you say something to me, all of a sudden my Rolodex of defense comes, like, okay, what does she ask? What is she really asking? What's underneath all that? Okay, is she saying this or is she saying this? Is this?
Yes, because I so often have underlying meanings. Most of the time, I'm being honest.
I know you probably don't, but in my mind, and it's not just you. Like if somebody says something to me, all of a sudden I start Rolodexing. Okay, what? And first of all, if you're a young couple and you don't know what a Rolodex is, a Rolodex is one of these little things that people used to keep addresses on, and it would spin, okay? And you'd spin through it that had the A through Z's, and you look through it to find your address.
Like
you
card
find your
catalog.
addresses. Yeah, it's like a card catalog.
Which they're not going to know about. They don't know a Rolodex. They don't know card catalog.
Okay. Basically, it was basically a physical form of your contact list. Okay, that's pretty much what it was. Your contact list in note card form in this little handy thing that spun in a case. Okay, so you was easily able to flip to your address or the letter of the address and then pick it out. Sorry, I realized that I kept saying Rolodex and I'm like,
Making yourself
People
look
may not
old.
know what a Rolodex is.
Making yourself look old here.
I'm 40 years old. If Rolodex is old, then fine, I'm old. But
You
it's
are old.
I know. Anyways, but I'll start going through that Rolodex of, oh, okay, what are they actually saying to me? What are my options here? What am I going to say? What can I say that's not, unless it's something very accusatory, and then I just lash, and then it's just like, I don't care. I'm going to pick option A, and that's the, fly off the handle. Fly off the handle is just in my pocket. It's never in the Rolodex. It's just it's like the flag for a football play, or for football, where they just pull it off them and they
Throw a
throw it.
flag.
Yeah, there's no looking through the rule book. I just throw the flag.
Well, and honestly, I feel like most people, yeah, not everybody, but most people, whenever they have some sort of hidden sin and they're living in that hidden sin, their first instinct, whenever they're called out for that sin, whether in a loving manner or not, is going to be to get defensive.
Oh yeah,
Because they're already in a heightened sense because they've got sin that they're hiding. And they've got this sin in their life that, I mean, let's be honest, whenever you have hidden sin in your life, whether it's sexual sin or any other sin, whenever there's hidden sin in your life, whether it be the shame spiral or whatever, there's so much other underlying junk going on along with that sin.
Yep.
So I feel like, yes, if you're speaking to your spouse about that sin that you are aware of, that it needs to be done, obviously.
Yes.
You need to call him out, so to speak, not in a negative way, but you need to call it out. You need to talk to him about it. But I do think that if you have that fear of, well, they're going to lash out, so I don't want to, you're going to have to get over that. Because more than likely, that's what's going to happen.
Okay, well, I mean, that's just like, somebody's walking down, or somebody's walking on the wrong side or just walking in the middle of the road on the wrong side, and there's a car coming. I mean, you can continue to let that person, you could get mad. Somebody could get mad that you screamed, "Hey, get the heck out of the middle of the road."
Yeah.
But in the end, if you leave them alone, they're gonna get hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get hurt. It's gonna hurt worse.
Yeah.
And going back to that, yeah, I mean, I remember being smack dab middle in the deep of my sin, and the fact is that, I mean, there's a part of me that says, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. What is she complaining about? There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing." Or, like you said, well, I already know that this is not right and this is shameful, but I can't do anything about it. This is who I am. Blah 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 blah. So I mean, yeah, that sometimes it's just you're gonna get the you're gonna get the lash. But I don't know. I think that when we can come with a loving heart and say, look, I understand that this is what you're going through, and I want you to know that I love you and that I'm here for you, and I want better for you. And that this is not where God wants you to be. This is not where I want you to be. And what can I do? What can we do together to make it better? Again, because that makes me think back to your original question. Even the first problem that we had was that we didn't have Christ.
Absolutely.
That was
number one.
That was the first problem. Okay. If we had Christ and I understood what that actually meant to have Christ, and then you would have came to me, then, just like we do now, because I know that there are times where I still have issues, and I come to you and we work out safeguards. We work out ways to make things better. My phone, nothing goes on my phone without you knowing, and I have to keep it that way because I know that it's to me, lustfulness is like a drug. All it takes is dabbling in it to get wrapped back up in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Well, and I think, honestly, and I know that especially like on your podcast that you talk about that, but I think there's also this like underlying thought that if you're a Christian, you can't possibly struggle with those thoughts. You can't possibly struggle with pornography and lust and all that kind of stuff. And that is a huge misconception, and
Oh
that is
yeah.
a lie from the pit of hell. Because we all struggle with some sort of sin.
Yeah.
Whether it be lying, whether it be overeating, we all struggle. Most of us with multiple sins.
Yeah.
And it's no different. It is just that particular sin is what a specific person struggles with. And it has nothing to do with your relationship with Christ or your relationship with your spouse or anything like that. It's just that is the sin that you're struggling with.
Yeah. I mean, it could be something as simple as that's what you're predisposed to. Like, when we was cleaning out the garage, and I told you that book, I found the book that started me down the path that I feel like I'm on, and it all came from that book because I read it and it sparked something in me, and I didn't like it, or I liked it, and it gets to a point where you have to recognize what sin easily entangles us, because Paul talks about that. He says there are sins that easily entangle us, not the ones, and you may say, okay, well, I don't battle with the lust issue, I don't battle with alcohol, I don't battle with drugs.
A lot of times mine honestly is gossip. That's the biggest one that I can get drug into so easily. Whenever somebody, and sometimes I'm great about, hey, I don't want to hear that, but honestly, I'm not great. Now, I'm not necessarily going to go and spreading it around and telling other people about it, but I don't stop it. Like, whenever somebody comes to me with it, I don't stop it. I don't cut the head off the snake and just say, no, I don't want to hear it. And that for me is a huge one that I struggle with. And every time I'm like, why did I even listen to it? Why did I let them pull me in, kind of thing?
Why are we even talking about those type of things? Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, like I said, there's sin that easily entangles us, and we just have to continue to remember that, there is that sin that easily entangles, and we have to put up safeguards. And I'm not saying that there has not been people that have struggled with something their entire lives, and the moment they came to Christ, it was all gone.
Absolutely. I mean, God can do that. God can miraculously heal someone from that addiction in an instant, but not always does he.
Well, I mean, okay, so I know this isn't like a super addiction, and you're going to probably think this is pretty stupid, or you guys might think this is pretty stupid, but like secular music, I felt like that was something that controlled me for a long time. I listened to a lot of it. I sang along with a lot of it. And the moment that I got saved, now I still do listen to secular music on occasion, but even then, a lot of it I still don't like listening to. And the thing is that at the end of it, I say, okay, well, that's not glorifying to God, and I'm good. It's almost like I listen to a little bit and like, okay, I'm good with that for a while. But that's I believe, because secular music was a large part of my life. I mean, I had a iPod that anybody could sit in my car and find something in there that they liked.
Well, yeah, because it was one of the old giant ones that held like a million songs.
Well, they held a million songs, but I just meant that if you like classical, there was classical in there. If you liked death metal, there was death metal in there. If you liked Backstreet Boys, there was probably Backstreet Boys in there. I mean,
only if it was mine, more than likely.
Yeah. No, I liked them too back in the day, but we're not going to discuss it. We're not going to talk about Bruno. But what I'm saying is that held so much apart. That was another big part of me. Okay, the lustfulness, God hasn't taken completely out of my life. The anger, God hasn't taken me completely out of my life. But I would say the third biggest thing that was a huge part of my life that I think domineered my thoughts a lot was secular music.
Absolutely, because whenever you're listening to that, it's all that anger and all the stuff about sex and it's filtering into you. I mean, that's the reason why they talk so much about what you listen to whenever they talk about you can play music when the baby's in their womb, and what you should have them listen to whenever they're first born, and all that kind of stuff, because it pours into them. And if everything pouring into you is about sex and drugs and all that kind of stuff, Yeah, that's what's going to come out too.
And God completely got rid of me about that. And I've noticed by some of the movies that we've tried watching recently that my movie tastes aren't. Oh, I mean, I already knew I got rid of the horror movies. I don't like those anymore. Um, and 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 there's other movies too where it gets to the point where it's like I don't have that need anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. But I think we've gotten way off the topic about having the conversations. So you got to talk to God first, and then the next thing is, I think with God's help and with God pouring into you, you need to formulate in your heart, how can I come at this with love the best way that I can? Because ultimately in the end, we're still human, we're still going to make mistakes, and we may not say things right. But we've got to come at it the best way that we can. Then I think the last thing you need to do is, well, of course you got to listen. You've got to listen to them, and you need to have a conversation that's not in anger, but in love. And sometimes this is the hard part. I think sometimes we just got to let God work on the other person.
And that's kind of what I was going to say. Ultimately, if it comes down to it and you approach them with this and they're not willing to get rid of it, or they aren't willing to talk to you about it, or whatever, how you approach it. And in that instance, it's absolutely covering it 100% with prayer.
Yep.
And trusting God with it. And ultimately just being there for them whenever they finally do decide, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there are some caveats to that.
There we go. I knew he was going to get there.
There are some caveats
Absolutely.
to that. Absolutely. I mean, if they're having an affair and they're not willing to get rid of that, then no, we're not just going to sit there and wait on them and expect that at some point they'll decide they don't want to do this anymore. And there are other caveats as well. That was just the first one that came to my brain.
No. Yeah, but you need to seek God's word as to what they're doing. Okay, so like you said, committing adultery. If they're not willing to give that up, I mean, that right there, that's a no go, because they're violating the covenant of marriage, and they're not willing to give that up.
Yeah.
If there are things that they are doing that is against the law, I think that's another one of those things where I think if they're not willing to at least stop, I mean, there are times where, maybe you have to let other people get involved.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means the fact that at some point they're going to harm themselves. They're going to harm others. And at that point, you need to say, okay, because it makes me think of, I think it's at the end of James. There's that verse that, and I can't quite remember where it's at, but basically it reminds me of when in this situation, whenever somebody's doing something that could be potentially harmful, first of all, you need to talk to them. And if they're not willing to listen, then you take 2 people with you. And if not, you bring a gaggle of people to go with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the same way. It's like you have that conversation with your spouse. If they're not willing to get over it, they're not willing, and this is something that's harmful, then maybe you bring somebody else that maybe they might listen to.
Yeah.
And if that's not going to help them, then you have to get people involved that they're probably going to listen to.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that hurts, and sometimes, you don't understand why, but it has to be that way.
Well, and also is sometimes there is going to be discipline along with that. So, if you go into Proverbs 19:20, it specifically says that, you have to get all the advice and instruction that you can, but it means that there's going to be discipline involved. And, whenever we're living in sin, and any sort of sin, there a lot of times is going to be discipline, because God disciplines those that he loves.
Well, I mean, right here in 19, right before that, it says a person with intense anger bears the penalty. I mean, it doesn't have to just be intense anger. I mean, sometimes when we're outside the will of God, it's going to bear the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it says if you rescue him, you'll have to do it again. But I mean, I mean, that is kind of true that sometimes when we get bailed out, but that's neither here nor there. That's sorry. But,
Yeah, that's a different topic.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there are going to be times, unfortunately, whenever we have to deal with those tough conversations within our marriage, but it's not going to end up how we want it to be. I mean, I wish that there's something I could have done differently, so that things would have went differently for us. But on the flip side of that is, I can promise each and every one of you listening that whenever it all comes to the end, you're going to see that God's hand was in it. You're going to see how God is going to use it. You're going to see the way that God is going to bless you through it. You may not see it whenever you're going through that tough time, and well, really, especially whenever you're going through that tough time, but I can promise you, God's word says that he works everything for the good for those who love him, and he is always faithful. And so that is 100%, even if it feels like you are in the middle of something that you're never going to come out of, you will come out of it, and you'll see how much God has blessed you through it.
Amen. I'm gonna end on that note. I am so thankful that you brought this topic. I think this is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and it was something good to just to really hash out around the table. So, guys, I'm so thankful you guys decided to check out this podcast. I want you guys to remember, what God has joined together. Let no one separate. Don't let an argument, don't let hidden sin, don't let anything separate it. Just remember to protect your covenant and to love on purpose. And we hope to see you again next time. Still going strong.